Okay, this video is going to walk us through section 3.1. This is the first page, and we're going to introduce the definition of an exponential function. The exponential function f with base a is denoted by f of x equals a to the x. Now we have a couple restrictions here. We do have a has to be a positive number, and it can't just be 1 because then it'll just become, f of x equals 1. And we're only looking at real numbers. And we're going to start by taking a look at how we can simplify and rewrite this in different forms using powers and roots. So when we just have a squared, we can just rewrite that as a squared. But if we have a to the 1/4 power, you can choose to write that as the 4th root of a. For a to the 3/5 power, you can think of this as being the same thing as a to the 3rd to the 1/5, which means that it could be written as 5th root of a to the 3rd. That's probably the nicest way to write it. Technically, you could also write it as 5th root of a to the 3rd power. You can also write the a to the -3 here as 1 over a to the 3rd power. And just ignore this little scribble right here. And if you have a to the -1/3 power, then you can write that as 1 over a to the 1/3, which you could write as the root 1 over cube root of a. And kind of the most complicated one that brings all of this together is that you can think of a to the -2/7 as being 1 over a to the 2/7, which could be written two ways. Just like the one directly above it, it could be written as 1 over a squared with the 7th root, or it could be written as 1 over 7th root of a quantity squared. Now, if you want to evaluate irrational exponents, then you typically use your calculator to do that. And this is what the calculator does, is it basically continues to plug in closer and closer and closer approximations to that irrational number until in the end it kind of keeps getting the same first number of digits. They all match each other. So this is how the calculator works through this. And so one of the things that we're going to practice is using a calculator to evaluate exponential functions. I don't have a really nice way to include the calculator demonstration in here. However, I think that you have the background to do this from just what we do before. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to write down, what we're evaluating and what it is approximately equal to, and you're very welcome to send me a request if you would like me to show you how to put this into the calculator. So right here, we've got that when we evaluate f of x equals 3 to the x, and then we plug in 2.9, that's simply 3 to the 2.9. This one becomes 5 to the -2.3, etc., etc. So we'll simplify this by using our calculator. And right here, I'm not really indicating how far we have to go as far as decimal approximation. Just always keep an eye on the directions for that. So for 1.92 to the x, f of pi would mean put pi in the exponent. And for part D, it's a little bit different. We'll have 5 to the pi plus 3. Now, depending on your calculator, you might just stay up in that exponent to type this in, or you might have to use parentheses to group them together. So this becomes 19,624.068. And last but not least, we have 2 to the -2/3. And again, you may have to use parentheses up there depending on your calculator. Okay, so we're going to turn to the next page and go ahead and click into the next video. Do take time though to make sure you're typing these into your calculator and you've got it down.